Hi everybody, it's Cathy Underwood here and Sonic the cat, and welcome to my vlog. So this vlog is all about yoga in healthcare, and this weekend I got to go to the Yoga in Healthcare conference, which is this, and it was fantastic. So basically, I wasn't going to interview anybody, but I just whipped out my phone and started videoing people who I knew and asking them some questions about the event and why they were there and what they've got from it. So the following is a series of interviews, and they are with Stephanie Mitchin, who is a yoga teacher and psychotherapist. That's really interesting. And then Anneke Sips, who also does a similar yoga in healthcare conference over in the Netherlands, and she's a nurse, counsellor, and also a yoga therapist. And Heather Mason. And now Heather, years ago I met Heather. She invited lots of yoga teachers and GPs along to a kind of day of discussion and talking about research and the NHS crisis and how we could support as yoga therapists people in the NHS. And roll on to today, and now this vision of hers has created this incredible conference with hundreds of people coming together, science and yoga coming together to support the NHS, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't know how she's done it, it's incredible. But she has, and you need to visit the Minded Institute and, you know, get on board with this vision for the future in the NHS. It's fantastic. Anyway, just want to add that Yinka Fabasui, I am so sorry, but the video that we made, oh my goodness, someone must have put their finger over the microphone because we can't hear a thing. So I promise you, Yinka, that what we'll do is I'll get in touch with you and we'll do another video. And yeah, so that's a promise. Otherwise, everybody enjoy the following and leave your feedback. Thanks very much. Om Shanti.
Hello everybody, Cathy Underwood here, and I'm here with Stephanie. Now, what's your surname, Stephanie?
Mitchin.
Minchin.
Yes, Mitchin is very good.
Anyway, I've known Stephanie for a very long time. We practiced yoga together many moons ago, and before you were working in a school as a tutor, and now you're a yoga teacher and a psychotherapist.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're here at the Yoga in Healthcare conference, which is super exciting, how we marry psychotherapy and yoga and how it can help in the NHS. So fantastic. But I'm going to ask Stephanie a few questions. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do now.
Okay. Well, to go to the very beginning, Cathy's actually being very modest because Cathy is the reason that I am doing yoga. I'm going to make her blush. So I was working in a school with children with autism, and that was about 8 years ago. And Cathy, as a teacher, would come in and teach yoga to us staff, and that was kind of the very planting the seed of my yoga journey. And I was pursuing a career in clinical psychology. So eventually, after many years of trying, got onto psychology training, and alongside that profession, I started to deepen my own practice of yoga to the point that I really felt a kind of urge and drive to become a teacher myself, both for deepening my own practice, but also alongside psychology. I was finding it personally very therapeutic and healing, and I started to notice how the two were very beautiful complements together. So then, forward tracking a few years following psychology training and becoming a yoga teacher, I was at a conference with the Teen Yoga Foundation, perhaps one of the first ones. That's with Charlotta Martinez and Satya Khalsa, who is a professor of medicine at the Harvard University and does a lot with the research in yoga, was also speaking there. And I think that's when I first came across Heather Mason, and it was like a light bulb moment of realising that yoga therapy is a thing, because I didn't know before that. So that kind of encouraged me to then start to pursue linking in yoga and psychology together, and I'm now doing the training in yoga therapy with Heather at the Minded Institute.
So hence that's why you're here.
That is why I'm here.
Okay. So what the interesting thing I must add is that it's a two-way street, because I was teaching the staff and now I'm teaching children with autism.
Yes.
So there you go. You inspired me.
It's amazing.
It's a two-way street. But so what are you looking to gain from this particular weekend? Are you here, for example, I was really fascinated by the post-traumatic stress disorder seminar with Heather, and that's very poignant in the work that I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
What's attracted you? Just the whole thing, or certain?
The whole package really. I think there's really amazing speakers, and what I've really enjoyed about yesterday is that the talks were unique but flowed on very nicely with kind of repetitive, encouraging themes, even though they were from a very different approach. For example, looking at how to empower people, or looking from a CCG perspective, or looking at more kind of systemic issues really, as well as research. I think from a client perspective, from the psychology work that I do, I'm particularly interested in using yoga as a tool to manage experiences that people are processing that have been traumatic, or kind of mood or physical health conditions. But actually in my psychology work within the NHS, I would be particularly interested in trying to take this forward from a service point of view. So how is it we actually get NHS services involved and on board with using yoga as a therapeutic treatment? And that's much more of a perhaps policy conversation around how do we get it onto the NICE guidelines, how do we make movement in the parliamentary group, and education has a massive role to play within that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So where can we find you? You know, if followers would like to come and find you, where's I know you've got a handle on Instagram, so
I
that's
do,
the
yes, at the yoga psychologist.
Yoga psychologist. And Twitter?
I don't use Twitter. Does that make me?
Shocking. No, nor do I. Well, I do,
I
but
don't
not
know.
really. What about Facebook? You on Facebook?
Yeah, Stephanie, the yoga psychologist.
And you write quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, I do some blog articles for Plus Minus magazine, and that's generally more kind of around wellbeing experiences. So yeah, love to write and get my words out.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, thanks ever so much.
Lovely, thank you, Cathy.
So breathing in. Oh, good.
I am so excited that I've just bumped into Anneke Sips. Anneke Sips, and Anneke, you have to tell everybody about what you do, because it's huge.
Okay, well, everybody, my name is Anneke Sips. I'm from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam. I'm a psychiatric nurse. I work in psychiatry for around 20 years. And my expertise is mostly working with people with trauma, psychosis, and psychotic related issues, schizophrenia, bipolar, all this. And I'm a mother. I have one daughter. I'm organizing a conference in the Netherlands, and this is the flyer. This is through my network yoga therapy. This is the base of my work. And network yoga therapy I started in 2010 because I was this nurse who wanted to bring yoga and healthcare together for years already, and just trying to find ways how to do this. And well, since 2010, I started my organization officially, and then ever since we're growing, we're offering yoga therapy trainings, and there's yearly conference and all kinds of trainings around, and especially mental health.
Is it open to everybody?
It's open, yeah, it's open to everybody, and everybody who's interested in the merging of science, health, and yoga. So, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I was really interested in what you said in at the hall earlier on, which was the science of human interaction. Is that right?
Human connection.
Human connection, because that's something in some of my work that I'm always talking about. The first step is that energy exchange and bonding again, bringing people together, whether that's in community or with themselves. So could you tell us a little bit about that, because that really struck a chord for me.
Well, it's maybe a little bit of the history, how it went throughout my personal history, and it ends, not ending, but the next step is like a big conference about the subject, of course inspired by all the work. And it started with, I will not go all the way into the story, but my own personal story. When I was young, I was a teenager, and I had not a very good connection with my father, because there was like, he was a religious guy and I grew up like this, but then I didn't want it anymore. Long story short, the thing was, he believed something, I believed something else, and we could not find a connection there. And I was kind of like literally begging, please see me, connect with me, and it was just not possible because we were so both in our own truths, whatever. And there are so many things that were connecting us, but we couldn't see it because we were only like, no, but I want to know. So then I didn't realize it, but throughout all the development, and especially also by development, personal development, and in yoga therapy, and in nursing and psychiatry, all that stuff, I found later that that this is really important key to find a common ground somewhere, because there is a connection.
Yes.
And well, my father died unfortunately, so I cannot really do it with him anymore, but I saw the similar kind of thing happening in psychiatry, especially working with people with schizophrenia, psychotic diseases, who have also suffering from anosognosia. That's the term I'm teaching about this. And it's people without insight, so lack of insight or awareness. And some people, or very often we think it's stubborn or they don't want or something, but it's actually a symptom of the disease. And how can we work with this? Like, instead of trying to prove you're right, both of you, find where can we meet each other? Where's the connection? So, and yeah, this is just going further and further. I see that it's in any field, and when I'm teaching and I talk with people who have children with eating disorders, for example, they say, it's the same, because I say, you're not fat, and the daughter says, yeah, I'm fat, and then we don't meet each other. So how can we meet each other to find like maybe some agreement, and maybe agree to disagree, and then find like where can we meet each other? There's always something. And yeah, so this is like on the how I use this and how it happened to grow into my work. But you can, like here, we had this conference with Heather Mason, and we're talking about very different fields, because I'm also doing similar work, working with science, health and yoga, and how can we meet each other? How can you speak in a similar kind of language? How can you meet a scientist and me with my yoga? There is a language somewhere. And then we're not talking about what is all that stuff that we do, but no, we talk about why we are doing all this. And if you go connect with your own why, I connect with my own why, we found that we have actually the same why. We want a more conscious world, or we want a better world for our kids. Yes, very neat.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. So I'm from Enfield, and we have a terrible problem with young kids getting mugged by other kids. It's just happened to my son. It's happened to both of them, and I mean, people out there in Enfield will probably relate to me quite a bit here. So us as parents need to connect with our teenage kids. Is there any tip that you can offer us in terms of, I know, encouraging yoga practices with our children, whether that's in thought or in physical practice? Is there any tip that you can offer us?
I would say, go back to yourself and do your yoga practice. And don't even worry about doing yoga with somebody else, just do your yoga practice. Be mindful, compassionate and loving, and just be there. And then that is the yoga that you do with your children. And maybe their yoga is something else at the moment. But you know, if you find each other's hearts, that's where the connection is. Yoga means connection. And if you know, I think if you do it this way, then maybe there are at some point they're inspired, like, that's kind of cool, or you know, who knows? And what is like in I believe that the first step and the most important one is to really to listen to each other. And this is like a broad thing, like listening with your whole body, with your whole soul. Like really listen, ask questions, go deeper, try to understand the other person, listen to yourself, try to understand yourself, and then find a way to do something together. And if yoga is what your child likes, do it. And maybe it's what is yoga then also? Like maybe it's just sitting quietly together and just breathe with your backs towards each other and like, mom, this feels so good. Like for example, my girl, she's 6 and I'm just doing my practice and she's sometimes climbing on me and she knows that mama needs a little bit of her space now, and just respect that. That's already the yoga teaching for her. She's respecting me for having my few minutes, and then I don't ask her anything and she's always just climbing on me, doing a little bit some things. Or especially at the end I see children that really like the more silent parts when I'm meditating, she's sitting with me.
I think it's creating that lovely safe held space for them, whereas you are their parent and there are rules and regulations, but when they need to have a moment to speak and be safe and say, you know what, if you need to talk now, please do, you know, I'm here for you, and let's just have a nice safe space that we can hold together. That's a nice communication.
Yeah, well, I'm also teaching in hospitals and as a research project, and actually now I'm teaching adolescents with first psychosis and also kids with behavioral problems. And in an academic hospital in the Netherlands. Just keep going, you know. And I call this, and I make this hashtag with them, and I try to bring this. I call it MySpace, hashtag MySpace. So also in class, I use this a lot with the kids, and we are working on. This is the goal of our practice at the end of the day. Like, how can we create MySpace? So MySpace here, where I feel safe, where I can be myself, because we know that when you are safe in your space, that you will happy.
Perfect. So, where do we find you? On social media? What are your platforms? Where can we find you?
On Network Yoga Therapy. So on Facebook, on Instagram, or Anneke Sips. So that's ANNEKESIPS.
Lovely.
And networkyogatherapy.com. The best way to connect with me is sign up for my newsletter. Because then
perfect.
I write a Reflect Now newsletter once a month, and people always just respond to that, and then your direct connection, because you know all the algorithms on Facebook, and sometimes it's hard to really find it. So email, I find an excellent way to put it.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Coming up, you slide into down. 3, 4, suspend your breath effortlessly. 3, 4, breathing out, coming down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause the out breath. 2. Breathing in, coming up. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, coming down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. 2.
Hi everybody, oh my goodness, I'm here with Heather Mason, and I'm just so excited because Heather is responsible for the Yoga in Healthcare conference this weekend that I've attended, and I just want to ask her so many questions, but we've only got a short time. So first of all, Heather, please tell my viewers exactly what the conference is about.
Well, the conference is essentially about two things. Why yoga belongs in healthcare, globally and nationally, and what is necessary to do in order to make that happen. That's what the conference is about.
Fantastic. So that was your aim, but how did you get all these fantastic people? How did you meet them? How long did it take you to bring these people to us?
You mean all the people?
All these wonderful lecturers and workshop leaders.
I guess I've been meeting them since 2008. So I own the Minded Institute, which delivers yoga therapy trainings, and I've known Satbir longer than and Pat and Dick longer than I've known most of the other people here. And Satbir was lecturing on that training, and one of my students said to me, "How do we get yoga into medical schools?" And Satbir said, how do we get yoga into healthcare, not medical schools? And Satbir said, you know, and this was now 11 years ago, I guess, something like that. And Satbir said, you have to change the culture at a place where the paradigm isn't solidified. Go to the medical schools. So I actually had taught for 3 years in a medical school in the United States about the value of yoga and mindfulness for doctors' health and for their patients. And the momentum grew from that. First of all, I didn't understand that doctors were suffering so much and that they really needed help and health professionals. And then I came back here because I was living here, then I went to Boston, and then I came back here. And I guess I've just really been focused on how that could be possible, and I've not given up. And I'm tenacious, you know, and I think that anything's possible. And I think if you believe that anything is possible, it is. And I'm all about, you say no in this angle, and then there's another way in, you know? And I did lots of study and degrees as well to be able to speak the different language. So I studied neuroscience, I studied physiology, I studied psychotherapy. I did a master's in Buddhist studies, which isn't really relevant to all of this, but I just felt I had to have a knowledge base, imperative, to be able to affect change.
The question I'd like to ask Heather is about the importance and the relevance of yoga within the NHS.
I mean, that's such a grand question. I spent 15 minutes the first evening speaking about it. Were you not here?
No.
Uninterrupted. I mean, first of all, yoga is a holistic strategy. And by holistic, I don't mean that it is complementary. I mean, it has so many different aspects, right? So you have the discipline, and you have the reflection. You have the breath control. You have the postures, and you have meditation. So you have this collection of factors that jointly influence psychological and physiological markers. And we need that. We need strategies that work with many different aspects of the person, especially because many of the non-communicable diseases that are currently presenting affect so many aspects of the person. And as was said today, there's a growing trend towards people having 4 non-communicable diseases. So you need to have things that are going to impact many factors. The NHS is suffering. It was established in 1948 for acute care, not to deal with lifestyle diseases. So it needs lifestyle interventions to manage that piece. And I think that the NHS has no choice but to adopt lifestyle type of interventions and look at social care. And at the same time, because yoga is trendy, because the research evidence is growing, there is this intrigue by the medical community. And so everything is becoming kind of amalgamated in an upward spiral that is leading to this acknowledgement that yoga has something to bring.
Yeah, definitely. And we were just hearing about coherent breathing exercises, which I just thought was absolutely fascinating. I mean, just starting with the most simple thing is the breath and how to introduce that into your lifestyle and your daily pattern, really.
Yes.
And we can all start with that. So where can we find out more about you and your work?
So I'm the founder of the Minded Institute. So you could go to www.themindedinstitute.com, and that's a training organization for expert yoga therapists. Or short little trainings and conditions. If you want to find out specifically about the work of bringing yoga into the NHS, that is the yogainhealthcarealliance.com. So both of those things. And also on Facebook every day at, what's our Facebook name? It's like something really long. Yoga Therapy for the Mind at Minded. Every day we place published research on yoga, and we express its value and relevance. So you can also look there.
And is there anything you want to share before we go?
Change is possible. And if you're watching this, you probably want to see yoga in healthcare. So I ask you to become part of the movement. The Yoga and Healthcare Alliance is actually setting up this kind of membership scheme by donation, and individuals can join and then be part of this collective that wants to hear all of these different voices, but in a targeted way. And so I wish you to join us because we can make it happen. Much greater changes have occurred in history, and this one is needed. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.